This is the High School Football America podcast for July the 9th, 2024. I'm Jeff Fisher. The High School Football America podcast is brought to you by First Place Spiritwear, the official outfitter of High School Football America and the HSFA podcast. First Place Spiritwear has an up-and-running spiritwear store for every high school football program in America, and it's a hassle-free solution for you coaches. You know, you've got to provide that fan gear to the players, fans, and coaches, and First Place Spiritwear is there to make it easy for you. They are the perfect alternative to BSN's fan cloth, with stores open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you earn 10% of the total sales, and that goes right into your fundraising budget. Visit First Place Spiritwear at firstplacespiritwear.com. That's the number one, ST, placespiritwear.com, or just go to highschoolfootballamerica.com and you'll see their banner ad located on every page of the website, and you click on it and it will take you right to them. And the High School Football America podcast is also brought to you by GameStrat, America's premier sideline instant replay system with outstanding reliability and faster speed than Huddle Sideline. Video transfers instantly in GameStrat, and its connection stays strong throughout. Other GameStrat features are seamless video controls, video telestration, and play filtering. Setup's easy, only takes about 10 minutes, plus GameStrat has awesome customer service with different plans priced right for every coach's budget. Mention High School Football America to the fine folks at GameStrat, and you will get a friends and family discount. And to get that demo, all you have to do is go to GameStrat.com, or you can click on the GameStrat banner ad located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. All right, we're in July. Folks, football is right around the corner, and one of the great things we're going to be doing over the next month here on the podcast is doing a lot of looking back and ahead. We're still going to get as many championship coaches on here as we can going into fall camps, and we're going to Southeast Indiana today on the High School Football America podcast. We're going to St. Leon, excuse me. I knew I was going to mess that up. I was telling Coach beforehand. I was going to say, do you have a fancy saying there for the community? But anyway, Jake Miners, the head coach at East Central High School, is on the line. Back-to-back state titles in the state of Indiana in 4A. It's a small community doing big things. Last year, they were ranked number 169 in the High School Football America 300, powered by NFL Play Football. Preseason rankings came out yesterday, and they're back in there. 147 this year, and a big matchup against the team they upset last year, Archbishop Moeller out of Cincinnati. Coach Miners is on the line to talk to us right now about a great year last year, and you're probably pumped up, Coach, as we get ready for 2024. Thanks for taking the time.
First of all, just thank you for having me. I love what you guys are doing, promoting Indiana high school football on a national stage. And just it's exciting. We moved into the month of July now, and I think everybody's starting to gear up and look towards football season. And I know that our guys have been working hard in the preparation for the new year. We've been blessed with a lot of success here recently. Historically, our program is very, very good, but we had never won back-to-back state championships, and that's something that we were striving to do, that we were able to accomplish last year. But now you kind of got to turn the page and you got to move forward, and so we're getting excited moving into this year. And
we're going to talk about that bullseye that you've placed on your chest with back-to-backs there. But I messed it up. It was funny, folks. Literally, I said to Coach, I want to make sure it's St. Leon. It's not like Leon or anything like that. And no, Jeff, it's the right way. And I had that in my brain, and out it came. But let's have you put on your Chamber of Commerce hat here, okay? It is a small community in Southeast Indiana, and you were telling me before we rolled the tape here that town is X number of people and the school's a little bit bigger. So talk a little bit about the math and tell people a little bit about where St. Leon is and how football fits into the fabric of the community.
Yeah, so we are in southeastern Indiana. We're right across the border. We're really a Cincinnati suburb. So half of our community is really west side Cincinnati people that have moved out for more of the country life, maybe some cheaper property taxes across the border and things like that. The other half are, have been born and raised here. We're a farming community. We're a conglomerate of different high schools. We came together in 1973 to form East Central High School. We're really east of nothing and central of nothing, but it looks good on a T-shirt. We could say we're EC. So, but our community is a very small town community. You think about small town America where everybody still gets out and supports the local high school teams. That's truly the community that we live in. I tell people all the time it's a extremely special place to raise a family, special place to go to school. I was raised in this community. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to be able to take over as a head football coach, but just really understanding the different parts of our community. But the one thing that brings all of our communities together is high school football. And it's been awesome to see the community rallying around our football program and our players. And there's not a better place, a better high school experience that you could really go through and become a young man and really mature to playing it. So it's just a great community. It is very small. The town of St. Leon itself is actually smaller than our high school. So that's always a unique little tidbit about us. But, we're about 35 minutes from downtown Cincinnati. So we are just enough out of the city, but can be close enough. A lot of our kids are Cincinnati Bengals fans, and grow up going over to Cincinnati. So it's a great time. It's a great experience in our community, and we just have a great support staff at our school. All sports, but football specifically, it's really valued in our community, and people put forth the money, time, and effort to make sure that we have a top-of-the-line program and that the kids have everything they need in order to succeed.
Talking with Jake Miners, head coach at East Central High School, back-to-back state championships in the Hoosier State there. Known for basketball, everybody says, but you guys can play some pretty darn good football, getting better and better each year, as I like to tell people, because I love my time that I've spent in the Midwest there, Coach. You mentioned that you are an alum. 2019, you take over as the head coach of the program. It is a small community. Probably everybody knew who you were coming in. Tell us a little bit about what you did to lay the foundation that has led you guys to going back to back. Is there anything special you did in 19 that was like, oh, that's my thumbprint, this is what's going to take us to the top?
No, there's nothing unique. First of all, when you were born and raised in the community, you hope you weren't a knucklehead as a teenager.
I feel that
you're
one.
Right. Yeah, because everybody knows who you are and that sort of stuff. So I was extremely blessed. I took over the program at a very young age, but our program wasn't in rebuild mode. We had won a state championship in 2017. We had been to the state finals in 2015. So there's been a lot of coaches along the way. Rod Ballard is really the godfather of East Central High School football. Really laid the foundation, built the program into what it is today. Then guys like Justin Roden and Don Stonefield and Tim Belmer, these are guys who laid the foundation. So when I came in 2019, it wasn't anything specific where I had to, reinvent the wheel, that I had to change everything. All we try to do is fine-tune some things within our program. Honestly, we had to modernize a few things within our program to get it up to speed. And I think, growing up in this community, growing up in Indiana, there's obviously the high schools, like in every state, that are traditional powerhouses, the winners, the people that, when you think of that state, you think about their high school because you recognize their name from their success. And so all we've really tried to do is preach that message that we want to be one of those public schools in Indiana that people think about when they think about Indiana high school football. So I think some things that we've done really well is we've kept the nucleus of our staff together. I was an assistant coach prior to taking the head coach job. In the core group of our guys, are guys who have been on staff for 10, 15 years. They're alums as well of East Central. Guys who have just been around the community that truly understand it and that are about the right things. They're about winning football games, but that football is it's more about learning life and developing young men than it is anything else. So just, kind of taking those general principles and trying to be as good as we can possibly be out on the football field, but also developing young men along the way. And we've been blessed with some talent. We've had some talent roll through. that have been really good for us and really exciting players to work with. So it's just kind of all come together for us the last couple of years. But as was preached to me when I was a younger coach that it's tough to get to the mountaintop, but it's even tougher to stay on top of the mountaintop. Yeah. So now we're kind of in that mode where where the target is on our back and things like that. So it's not being complacent and trying to continue to push this thing as far as we can push it.
You'd rather have that target there than not at all. That's one way to look at it,
Sure.
right, Coach?
Yeah.
And we're going to get to some of the kids by name that helped you win last year, and then we'll look forward to. But before we get to that, the obvious question that comes up when you talk about coming up through the program like that, and guys that have been there for a decade or more on the coaching staff, any guys there that coached you when you were playing, and if there were like that, what was the transition like from being have the whistle blown at you to now having to make sure they were doing their job the right way as a coach?
So there's still one guy on staff. He was my head coach coming through.
Oh, okay.
So now I hired him back, on our staff because it's great. He knows, he's been in the mix as a head coach and really understands things. So being a young coach, it helps me to have a guy there to bounce ideas off of. But when I first became head coach, we had 3 guys on staff that had coached me as well. So there's a little bit. It wasn't growing pains. It was just unique. I would use that term that the shoe was kind of on the other foot. Yeah, and I was having to lead them now when they were used to leading me. But I tell them all the time, it's what they did when I was a player that really instilled the values and understanding of not only football, but just what it took to be a coach as well. That's really paid off for me. So I love it. Some guys will say they wouldn't be able to deal with that. I love it. And if I could have every coach that I played for on staff, I would. But what's been fun is a few guys that I played for at East Central have gone on to be head coaches elsewhere in our conference and the surrounding areas. So now I get to also coach against guys who coached me as well. So
Neat.
It's been fun.
You're becoming an old guy, basically is what you're saying there. You're becoming an old guy.
Yeah.
Now, my biggest problem was making sure that I was able to stop calling them Mister. When I was young, it's sort of like it just out of habit, out of being a good guy. It's Mr. So and so, and then it's like, would you please call me by my first name? I still have there are still some people I have to call Mr. It's just like it chokes in my throat if I try to call them by their first name. Just a little therapy there for me, I guess, Coach. Jake Meiners is on the line. East Central has won back-to-back 4A titles in the state of Indiana, and they've done it in a big way. Last year they were 15-0. That was the first time you guys had gone undefeated, I guess. And before we hop into the players, we touched upon the coaches there. Why don't we get a couple of names in here? Because you're the guy that's doing the interview with me now. You do the interviews after the championship trophy is handed out, but there's some guys there that toil in anonymity. So let's make that go away for at least this part of the interview.
Yeah. Well, the job of the head coach, I tell the guys, actually being a head coach, you don't work nearly as hard as you did as an assistant, because you're always doing that stuff. So, on the defense side of the ball, Doug Hogue, he's an alum from East Central. He was our defense coordinator the past 2 seasons for our state championship run. And Carl Pazonka is another guy who works really closely with him. Scott Shorts, our defensive back coach, he still breaks down film by hand, and God love him. I try to tell him that there's technology out there, but he does such a good job of breaking things down, and he has his way, so we let him go. And then Don Stonefield's the guy I was talking about before. He's my former head coach who's back on staff. On the offensive side of the ball, Lou Sipe, our quarterback's coach, our pass game coordinator, he just does a fantastic job. He actually was recognized in the state of Indiana last year as the 4A Assistant Coach of the Year. So
Nice.
he is a huge blessing to have on staff. And then our offensive line coach, he's not coaching with us this year, was Randy Maxwell over the last few years. He's done a great job. He's kind of passed on the reins to Stephen Medlock, who's also an alum of East Central. I actually played with him coming through school, so a buddy of mine. And, I could just go up and down our list. Our running backs coach, Coach Wheat, he's one of these guys that you would he never wants any publicity whatsoever, but he just does a great job with our running backs, and we love to run the football, and so he does a fantastic job. And there's just so many guys along the way that do a really, really good job in the ins and outs. Even our director of football operations, I call him, my right-hand man, Scott Hall, who actually doesn't do a whole lot of on-the-field coaching anymore. He used to, but now he runs all of our operations and, does laundry, all this stuff, so that the head coach doesn't have to do it. And there's just so many people along the way that really help out this program and truly help out this program and work their tails off to do it. So I love being able to recognize those guys. Love being able to give them any kind of recognition. They hate the recognition because they don't do it for the recognition, but it's always nice to get those guys out there.
My favorite part of doing these interviews during the off season is the opportunity to give those guys the pub, because like you said, they don't get it. They definitely deserve it, and congratulations to them on back-to-back titles. Let's hop into some of the guys, and again, it'd be awesome to give you the whole roster here, but we don't have an hour and a half to do the entire roster. But I do know, and this is probably part of the blend from last year into this year, but you lost a great running back in Josh Ringer, a kid that was an academic All-America for High School Football America last year, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity here to talk about Josh, his kind of position in the in your alma mater, and what he's done for football there, and then talk about some of the leaders that helped that program, your program, to back-to-back titles.
Yeah, Josh is one of the most special young men I've ever had the pleasure of coaching. So not only is he super talented, he rewrote every rushing record we have in our program. And we've had some decent running backs come through East Central, but we I don't know if we've ever had a kid quite like Josh, where just having the ability to do anything and everything that we asked of him. He came in as a freshman. We knew he was pretty talented, but I think even our coaching staff was in awe about some of the stuff he was able to do on the football field. But more important than that is his leadership and his quality. His parents raised him right. He is a quality human being. He understands about passing down tradition and passing down work ethic. And if you would have walked into our weight room, during the off season, you would see Josh in there, just continually trying to get better, continually trying to push everyone else. So I always like to say he's truly earned every accolade that he's received. And he's moved on to Miami of Ohio now, so we're excited to see what he can do there, and represent our program on a Division I level. And another guy, Ryan Brotherton, he's moved on to Western Michigan. He played wide receiver a lot for us, but he also got in the backfield and ran the ball quite a bit for us. His rushing statistics actually per carry were off the charts. And just another special kid, Cole Burton, who was a 3-year starter at quarterback for us. He's going to be a tough one to replace. He had a live arm, can make every throw, but more than that is he steered the ship for us. And when times got tough, and our teams facing adversity, he always was the calm, cool, and collected one to kind of get us back on track. So it's gonna be really tough to replace those three guys on offense, and our offensive linemen that have graduated and moved on from our tight ends, our wide receiver group. Our wide receivers, Robbie Blay and Corey Helms last year, they didn't necessarily jump off the page at you statistically, but when Josh was running for all these touchdowns, and Josh would explain this too, it was normally Robbie and Corey making a big block down the field to kind of spring Josh out there. And so to find wide receivers that are willing to lay their bodies on the line down the field in the blocking game's an impressive deal. Then defensively, we graduate three of our four linebackers, Dylan Maxwell, Braden Rouse, and Connor Kuhn, just exceptional multi-year starters for us, really pivotal players in our state championship runs. And we graduated three of our four DBs. Our seniors back on the back end. Moses Wheat really came on towards the end of the year. Jace Dorsey coming on at the end of the year. Just these guys that have played a lot of big-time moments and big-time games for us and being able to execute and win. It's going to be tough to replace that senior class for sure. They definitely hold a special spot, within our program. They collectively as a group, they pretty much rewrote almost every record book that we have collectively as a team and on an individual basis. So, but more important to me is that they're great young men. We love to show up to practice every day and really just be together out on the football field. They knew when it was time to work. They knew when it was time, to have a good time. But you just truly enjoy them as young men. And I think that's the piece that our coaching staff's going to miss the most about them. But, that's the deal with high school sports is you want them to go on and have success in life. So whatever avenue that they're heading out to, is going to be fun and enjoyable to watch them become young men and young adults.
Yeah, the beauty of high school sports. It changes on a regular basis. Keeps you challenged there, Coach. Talking with Jake Meiners. He is the head coach at East Central. Back-to-back state titles in Indiana. Appearances in the High School Football America 300 last year, 169 in the nation, 147 in the preseason. As I always tell everybody, Coach, it's people just like preseason polls. You got it's supposed to analyze what goes on the field, the algorithm. So we'll see what happens this year. You guys have a great schedule. We'll talk about that in a second. Before we turn the focus to 2024, I know a couple of years ago you were the Colts Coach of the Week, and I know you said you're nearby Cincinnati, so a lot of Bengals fans there. But I just wanted to get your take on what it meant to you to win an award like that, and what it means to you to know that the NFL is digging down into the roots of the game, and it doesn't matter if you're in a big town like Indianapolis or in little St. Leon in southeast Indiana.
Yeah, first of all, the Colts just do an awesome job. That they're a sponsor of our state tournament every year, and just they do so many things throughout the summertime, so many things throughout the fall to really publicize Indiana high school football. And then what cooler venue to be able to play a state championship at than Lucas Oil Stadium. It's just an incredible experience for our young men and for our staff as well in our program and our community. But winning a weekly award like that for the Colts it's a huge honor. And I talked about it with our staff about it's awesome to be recognized, and my name has to go on things like that. Because I'm the head coach, but it's really a reflection of our program, and I view it, as a program award. It can't be done, without the kids, without the staff, and without the community and our school building support and all that stuff. So, just a huge honor for them to recognize us, that a little corner of southeastern Indiana, for them to see what's going on down at this end is really cool. And again, the coaches do a really good job of spreading throughout the state, and I think the NFL in general, like you said, it just does a great job of making sure that the sport is continuing to grow, that young people are continuing, to learn life lessons and continue to improve their craft. And so, just a really neat honor to be a part of. And then we got to go up and watch a Colts practice, which is pretty cool in their indoor practice facility, and you try to learn a little bit from there too that you can apply, in your own football program. So just it was a huge blessing to be recognized for that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Coach. Time though to start talking about what I know has got your blood kind of at least heart rate up a little bit, I would think. Fall camp right around the corner. You did this last year, right? As you said, sometimes it's easier to get there and then stay on top there. And you had the conversation last year about, 2022 is history. You looked at 2023, so you probably have a little bit of help going into 2024. So what's the speech you've been talking to the kids about in the weight room in the off season and now getting ready for camp? How do you get them to focus on 2024?
Yeah, I think every year is a unique deal, right? We won the state championship in 2022, graduated an extremely good class in 2022 as well, but we had a lot of guys returning too in 2023, and really the focus then was, hey, let's go do something that's never been done in our program's history, and that was win back-to-back state championships. We don't talk about necessarily going undefeated a whole lot. We just talk about giving ourselves the best opportunity to win on a Friday night each week, and that's kind of not beat yourself, put yourself in good positions. And so that was really the message, kind of just going into 2023 of, hey, let's continue to try to get better and try to push this thing and accomplish these new things. Now, turning over to this year, we graduate 16 of our 22 starters. So there's going to be a lot of new faces, but the expectations are the expectations. So we were just talking about that this morning. The expectations for us, again, is anytime we go out on a Friday night, is to be able to compete against your opponent, to give yourself the best opportunity to win. And we've talked a lot about with the current juniors and seniors that might not have played varsity football just yet, but now it's their turn, and they have to believe in themselves and that, their preparation over the last couple years, they've been waiting for this moment, and they've been working towards this moment to be able to, put their name and put their mark on our program and see what they can do on a Friday night. And really just the message is, we actually are getting bumped up into 5A this year, so there's 6 classes in Indiana. So we've been at the 4A level, and because of success, we're bumping up to the 5A level. So that's a new challenge. We're going to be facing bigger schools. So we're going to be, on paper at least, it's a tougher deal for a smaller school to compete against larger schools. So, but we talk about, facing challenges, and you've earned this challenge. You've earned this right to be able to go out and compete on Friday nights heading into this year. And, we truly feel that if we, play our game, we believe in ourselves and, not hurt ourselves, that we are going to be competitive and that we are going to put ourselves in good situations in order to win football games. So that's really just the message, and making sure that we're prepared, mentally and physically to go into this season. And, our expectations is that we still want to win. We still want to win as many games as possible, and hopefully make a pretty deep playoff run.
Yeah, and it looks like you're not afraid of scheduling some, tough preseason type of games, if you will, meaning non-league. I mentioned earlier you played Cincinnati Power, Archbishop Moeller, and beat them. And I know you've got you got Harrison too from Ohio. So talk to me a little bit about the mentality of playing up, especially now that you're going up this year.
Yeah, and it's been something in our program that hasn't been something that necessarily, again, I have done since I have walked in, as the head coach. But we've really tried to beef up our non-conference schedule and to play the best of the best. Playing Archbishop Moeller. We have them again on the schedule again this year. Harrison, Ohio is our big rival right down the road from us. They're only about 10 minutes from high school to high school. A lot of our kids grow up playing sports together, so it's a fun little rivalry that we have between them. And then at the end of the year, we challenge ourselves with the Indianapolis Roncalli team, a team that traditionally, they've been making deep playoff runs, won several state championships themselves. It's been a nice little rivalry back and forth for us because we're two very competitive teams that like to run the football. And it's a very physical matchup. But we try to approach every game the same, though, and I think that's something that our kids have really bought into. They know the Archbishop Moeller game is going to be one of the premier games in the Cincinnati area during that week, and they know the caliber of a Cincinnati Moeller. But being able to emotionally and mentally, buy into a scouting report, buy into a game plan, and to just try to go out and execute that game plan. And then, again, if you can do those things and put yourselves in the good situations, in the positive situations, you'll have a chance of winning those games, and that's all we've really tried to do in those bigger games. And for us, I think as we went through the playoff run last year, it's that we kept telling the guys, like, hey, pound for pound, there wasn't a better football team that we played than Cincinnati Moeller. Now we still got to go out and we still got to execute, but I think to have those type of games to fall back on when you're preparing for a big playoff game is enormous. And in the state of Indiana, we don't have point system or anything like that. Anyways, everybody makes the tournament, so really, it allows you to go out and to schedule those types of games. And I think it's a win-win playing those types of games. It's a really cool environment. We're going to continue to try to schedule, if not Moeller, we've played LaSalle in the past, which is another GCL South school. We've been in the talks to maybe trying to get Elder on board in our scheduling. So there's a lot of talks with teams in the Cincinnati area, but Cincinnati area football, it's really good football. And so anytime you get a chance to jump across the border and to be able to compete with those guys, we try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Also, put a big smile on my face to hear people out there saying these days, "Yeah, we're going to play the best." Got a lot of coaches that may not want to play some of those best, so you put a smile on my face with that one. It's a good thing to hear, no doubt about that. Okay, we're talking with Jake Meiners. We're going to be wrapping up here with one last question, which is the obvious one. You put the target on yourself. You're happy with the target there. Back-to-back state champs. You mentioned you've got a lot to replace, especially toting the football and the guy that's calling signals. I think you said he was a 3-year starter. So tell me a little bit about what you have to do in camp. What is the staff and you? What are you looking to accomplish in fall camp to know you're ready to try and go for that three-peat?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just the position group battles. At quarterback, we have Nolan Maple. It will be a junior for us. And he's been waiting his turn. He's been preparing, to kind of take over the reins here. And he's had a really good offseason so far. So we're really looking for him to kind of take that next step as a leader. But he is replacing the 3-year starter at quarterback. And so, we obviously think he can do it and all that stuff, but it's really to put him and the other guys into some pressure situations during practice to see how they react. And we have to understand our players too, so we need to know what they can and can't do, so we can put them into favorable positions as well. But really, we are returning 3 guys on our offensive line, and we're returning 2 guys on our defensive line. So when you start with that, you start with the trenches. It's like, okay, that makes me feel pretty good. And then we honestly, for on both sides of the ball, we probably have 5, 6, 7 guys that are competing for those other spots. So there's a lot of competition going in there. In the running back room, we had a freshman step up for us, played a lot for us down the stretch alongside of Josh Ringer, and that was Ryan Mingus. So he's only going to be a sophomore for us, but he's definitely going to take over kind of that premier back workload. And he's going to have to carry the ball more, where he might have only had 6 to 8 touches last year. He's going to have to get up to that 25 to 30 touch range in there. And so he's got to take the next step, and he's been working really hard and extremely hard. In our wide receiver group, we pretty much graduated everybody in the wide receiver room. So Ethan Feldkamp's had a really good offseason for us. Eli Selhorst has had a really good offseason for us. Aaron Mayer's a guy that's he's had a really good camp so far. And just watching those guys compete and to see which ones are going to be able to step up and be playmakers for us. And defensively, we actually, even though we graduated 3 of our 4 linebackers, but we have a lot of guys there. We had a lot of depth there last year. So a guy like Alex Kuhn, who might not have been listed as a starter for us last year, but played a ton of minutes for us last year, being able to step up as kind of that leader in the linebacker room. Then we have a lot of guys competing in that room. And the defensive back group, Carson Pazanka, he's actually been a 2-year starter so far for us. He will be a 3-year starter for us in the DB room. But him having to step up in that senior leadership role, and be in command of that group, which all these guys have done a great job so far. Now, the thing that we're looking for as a staff is to try to put themselves situationally in as many different situations as we can, and as many different pressure type environments as we can, to allow them to feel that pressure, but also to see their successes and to be able to build off those successes. It's going to be a different group, and I think every year what we do a decent job of is figuring out what that group can do well and try to highlight those pieces. And so that's really where we're trying to work through things right now as a coaching staff, figuring out exactly what those kids can do well so that way we can put them in good situations come the fall.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time to get us up to speed on what you've done over the last couple of years and what 2024 is going to look like. We wish you nothing but continued success there. Now, especially since I didn't mess up St. Leon more than just once. So don't have the whole little community be mad at me there. But we really appreciate you taking the time and joining us, and best of luck in 2024.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on.
All right, Coach Meiners, and every coach that appears on the High School Football America podcast gets a pretty cool thing from First Place Spirit Wear, a personalized fan gear pack. First Place Spirit Wear, the official outfitter of High School Football America and our podcast. They have an up-and-running Spirit Wear store for every football program in America. If you're a high school, just go to firstplacespiritwear.com. That's the number one, stplacespiritwear.com. And then you can also get there by going to High School Football America on the website there and click on their banner ad that's located on every page, and you will be able to get to the page where you can just search for your store. It's there already. It doesn't have to be made for you, although I will tell you this. If you chat with the people at First Place Spirit Wear, they'll be able to put your logo in there and make it come to life. It's a Fanatics-like experience with amazing designs. Why is it a Fanatics-like experience? Well, they have hired a Fanatics graphics guy. Mike Meadows, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, talked about that. These guys are literally reinventing Spirit Wear at this point in time. And, there's some great things that you get by going to First Place Spirit Wear. A, you're no longer a coach and a salesman. That's right. You won't have to worry about selling things. All you have to do, they give you all the marketing material. You just put it on your email list, goes out, the link, the store is there, and you get gift codes. Yeah, players, coaches, the staff, the family, they get gift codes for $10. You can't beat that. They carry name brands like Nike, Adidas, and Champion. And, they're giving you, something that is an alternative to BSN's fan cloth. And I will tell you this. I've been noticing on certain teams' Twitter accounts recently, I'm sorry, that's the X accounts, that they're, promoting their stores, that they're out there. Now, there's a window, and you may not get your stuff until October. What FanCloth will do for you is slow down the process. What First Place Spirit Wear will do for you is they will speed up the process, and the orders will go out within days and ship right to the home of your player, your coach, your family, whatever it is. And here's the even better part. You don't have to collect the money. You don't have to manage inventory. None of that. And you get 10% fundraising on all sales. And during the off season, it's even higher than that. A Fanatics-like experience when it comes to designs, because they hired a Fanatics graphics person. You can't beat that. This stuff is so cool. And they carry brand names like Adidas, Nike, and Champion. You can't go wrong by checking out the place, by going to the website, checking out First Place Spirit Wear. They are doing some cool stuff. Just go to firstplacespiritwear.com. That's the number one, stplacespiritwear.com, or go to highschoolfootballamerica.com. Click on their banner ads on every page of the website, and you will be able to check out all the cool stuff they're doing. The High School Football America podcast also brought to you by the NFL Play Football folks. Yes. Hey, coaches, don't forget to check out playfootball.nfl.com for some great resources to help you improve in the coaching profession. That's going to do it for today's High School Football America podcast. I'm Jeff Fisher.